So I turned off multiply on this layer, so now it's just normal mode. Multiply makes it so all the white goes away, but I want those lines just to be a little bit thicker. And so in normal mode, I see that there are white and black pixels, and honestly, there are probably some gray pixels in there too. Yeah, you can see them there. So in order to thicken the lines, I need to get rid of all of the white. I need to make all of the pixels that remain solid black. And then I'm going to use something called layer styles to build outlines of black around the existing lines. So how can I select all the whites? Because that would be really hard to just draw and cut it out individually. So what I do is I use another selection tool. It's right under the lasso. It's one we'll be using a lot. And it's the magic wand tool. And it's the second one in the drawer. So it might show you the quick selection tool. And to get to the magic wand, you just hold down on it, you open the drawer, and click the magic wand. I am almost always going to use the magic wand instead of quick selection. It's just because of the way I work. But they do similar things. Magic wand is programmable. It's a programmable selector. And all of the options for it, just like when you have the options for your brush tool, are up here. I want the tolerance to be 32. That's a good default tolerance. That means that it's going to be white and things close to white that I'm selecting. I want it not to be contiguous. Contiguous means that the pixels have to be touching for me to select them, but I want all the white in this image, whether they're touching or not. So I'm going to uncheck contiguous. Anti-alias is how it smooths the selection. I'm going to go ahead and leave that on. Now I select anywhere in the layer that's white. And it will select all of the white within a tolerance of 32. So if I zoom in really close, you'll see that that even includes some of these grays that aren't solid black. All right. Then I'm going to hit delete, and I'll do it while I'm zoomed in just so you can see what it does. It just gets rid of all of them. So this is actually getting rid of the white. Hit delete, not just changing the blending mode. The reason that's important is because now I'm going to grow around those lines. But you'll see that some of it's really messy looking. It's like a sketch. So I'm going to clean it up first. So after deleting all the white, I notice there are these little fragments. So I'm going to do another pass of the magic wand. And what magic wand is really good at selecting is empty space. So I'm just going to select the empty space. But then I have this option of refine the edge. So I'm going to click on that. And this will help me get rid of these little debris because I want a smoother, cleaner line. So I'm going to do my smart radius up to about 5 pixels. This is an 8 megapixel image. I want to smooth it to a quality of about, between 5 and 10. I don't want to feather it at all because I don't want it to soften the edge. And I want it to shift the edge by about 25%. And you'll see it starts to preview it for me. And I might want to take my radius down to maybe 3 pixels instead of 5, something around there. All right, so it's showing me how it's going to change the edge in the preview. This is selecting the empty space, so that white core is what's going to remain. So I say OK. And now you see my selection has changed. It's become a little bit tighter. And that will get rid of all of this debris. And then I hit delete. And then I have a cleaner image of line work. And now I'm ready to thicken it. Because if I didn't clean it up first, I would be thickening things that weren't that clean. I'd be thickening every little smudge and sketch mark that I didn't want and just making them more obvious. Okay, the other thing I can do, because the selection and erasing softened it slightly, I can even do it again. You can do this as many times as you want and just keep hitting delete. Now it looks pretty clean, but you'll see all the gray. So now I'm going to go to Image Adjustments, Levels, and I'm going to make it a lot darker by just shifting the black pretty solidly so that only black pixels remain. or even hitting Command J and duplicating. So the transparency of them are now flattened. And that just makes duplicates of your layer. But this looks pretty good. So now to thicken it, I double click it. And you get to what are called layer styles. And we'll be playing with these later on. But I'm going to click stroke and then click on the stroke options. And I'm going to give the color of the stroke just solid black. I'm going to put it on the outside. And I'm going to put it at full opacity. And then I can adjust the size. So from a distance, there is my original layer. Now I can grow the width of that layer. Ooh, it's like it's pulsing. Into something that feels a little bit more in line with my other lines in the same family. It also shows me I have to trim the edges of pixels, because it will put a stroke on every pixel, black or not. And so it shows me where I need to clean it up. There are some edges that need to be cleaned up. All right, so I am nearly done. The only thing left is to pick a background. And you have the option, you can leave white as a background if you like. That's fine. But I think it can be fun to color your lines and to put it on a textured or colored background. So I'm just punching it up a little bit by making some edits on my final layer. In fact, I can use the magic wand with contiguous on some of the other layers to select inside the shapes. And you can hit Command D to deselect. So for instance, I selected inside the arm of this layer by hitting contiguous in the magic wand. Now I'll go to my top layer and just delete from it. And that will clean up that whole arm. So that can be a really good technique. Like the foot from that layer and delete it from other layers. So it kind of comes in more cleanly. And of course, if you don't like what happens, you can always undo it. And at this point, I can't tell which layer is which, and that is good. That means I've transformed it into something new. But I'm using my eyeballs here to turn things on and off as needed. All right, so selective erasing. Okay, so check the edges. Another way to check the edges is to just increase your canvas size. Go to Image, Canvas Size, and just grow it by an inch or so. So I'll make it 9 by 12 inches. And I'll just select around all this stuff that was left over from the edges of the different references. Loop around all of it. And then just delete through my different layers until it cleans up. So there's just this little bit, this little black line. I have to figure out what layer that's on. It's on this one. Why won't it delete for me? Oh, I bet I know why. Because it's the stroke effect that's making it. So it's actually off of the frame. So I'm going to grow it even more. So that's the problem with using layer styles, is sometimes they can, because it's doing an outline stroke on white pixels. So I really need to get those out of the way. But now I can use the crop tool, which is underneath the magic wand. We're just going right down the tools and find the containing paper shape I want. Roughly a document size. And that will save some memory. Okay, so what's a little scary is we haven't saved once. Right? So if something happened to the computer, if there was a power surge or it shut down, we would lose all of this work because we haven't saved it. So generally, whenever we've added more than one layer to a new file, we want to save it. And that way, when we say file save, Photoshop will automatically want to save it as a Photoshop file, as opposed to whatever file it was when we started, like a JPEG. So if I say file save, now it will automatically want to make it a Photoshop file, PSD. Now when we save work that we're actually turning in like this, we start with our name, and then we describe it. So this is my cartoon jumble, exercise 1. And I want to save it as a PSD to the desktop. Then if I want to submit it like this to PhotoBucket, I have to also save it as a JPEG. File, save as, JPEG, keep the same name, to the desktop. Then I'll have both file types. I can make this one pretty high because it's not having to remember many colors. And as long as it's under 5 megabytes, you can compress it as you see fit. All right, so I've got that ready to go. Now I'm going to play with coloring it a little bit. So one thing I can do is put in a background. So I go back to Google. And just like I did for our class goals documents, I want to find kind of a background. So let's see. Abstract comics color background. And I'm going to take it off of line drawing and say any type. So it shows me color. And do I need it to be larger than 8 megapixels? I do. So I like these kind of half drop patterns. This is nice. Has to do with vintage printing. I don't want anything too busy. I just want to play with it. But then this is really beautiful. Might be able to take something from that. So let's see what they look like. I open them in new tabs. I want to view them full size. Yep, that's nice and clean, very comicsy. Drag it over to the desktop. Yeah, you're going to find your own. If you want a background, you can search your own background color. You can look for different textures, different colors. You can look for watercolor, red, whatever it is. This one's taking forever to load, so it might not be an easy one. But that gives me an idea. Let's just go for watercolor. Larger than 8 megapixels. Yeah, I want something like this. That's cool. I'm going to do different things with these. So view image. Big, so it's taking a little while to load. Hopefully it works. Yes, it worked there. There we go. Yeah, very nice. This is just a scan of an abstract watercolor. All right, now with these two color options, I can bring them in as background, just like I brought in my image.